Well, it's Tuesday, guys, and that means you're here so you can watch me tell you about things that most people automatically know, but for some reason, we're just learning around here. So here's your Tuesday morning tech tip from Pugliese Speed Shop. Guys, I totally wish that wasn't true, but it is. And you know what? I bet it's true for more people than I really think. Because I say people should automatically know this stuff, right? Because I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm talking about like just, stuff that happens when you're working on things, right? You lose stuff, you don't have the right tool, you break a tool, you break the part, you get the wrong part. All these things are like normal things that if you're messing with cars, especially older cars, it's gonna happen, right? It's just there's no way around it. And as much as I wish I could tell you that, hey, here's a golden ticket. This is how you get away from that stuff. There is no getting away from that stuff. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's not even just old stuff, right? Because just recently, I was working on the Road Glide right there. The thing's got 20-something thousand miles on it. It's not even, 4 years old? And I stripped a screw out, right? Was it my fault? Absolutely, it was my fault. Because I was putting on an aftermarket part that came with hardware, the wrong hardware, because, I bought it on Amazon and sure it was made in China and it wasn't the best quality stuff, but it was what I wanted, so I scooped it up. The part itself worked great, and I went to put it on with the stock hardware because, that seemed to work. Well, I said seemed to work, right? What I did was I used that stock hardware, which might have been just a little bit too long because that Amazon part probably wasn't the same thickness as the stock Harley part. And, I bottomed it out. And when I bottomed it out, I said, you know what? Instead of like, oh, is that the bottom? Let me loosen it up. No. That's not what I did. At that point in the game, I said, let's get this thing. And I tried to drive it home and bottomed it out. I didn't use that finesse that I should be using. I just used like brute force strength. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it didn't work. And now the screw is stuck in there. I try to get it out. Now it's stripped. And, a 5-minute job turned into an hour, right? And these things happen all the time. But you think there's a way that we could deal with it better? There's always a way to deal with things better, guys. No matter what you're doing, there's a better way. It just always happens, right? That's why everything's always changing. The world's always evolving, whatever. I'm one of those guys. I'm not a fan of change. Probably why I stayed in the Navy for like 23 years, because things just stay the same, right? But unfortunately, for guys like me, change is going to happen whether you like it or not. And, that's not really the point of this video. I started to ramble. But I stopped myself, and we're going to bring it back. There's a better way to handle things, and sometimes it's not even just in how you're doing it. Now, in that scenario I just told you about on the bike, the better thing would have been to not be an idiot and drive that thing home, realize it bottomed out, and just take it off. Because in that point, I could have just put the other part back on, and I was actually going on a ride. That's all I could have done. Put the other part back on, gone, 5 minutes. It was literally 2 bolts, guys, one on each saddlebag for the little connector that I did, not connector, latch. They had the chrome ones, I wanted the black ones. That's that. So when I did all that, the first one I did was flawless. I used the Harley hardware and went back in and everything was good. Apparently the other one was just a little bit thinner. You guys know quality control on the stuff you get off of Amazon is not always the greatest. It is what it is. So it didn't work out. What I end up doing, I finally got that thing out. And now, you don't want to just use force, like, I'm on a saddlebag that's like fiberglass, plastic, whatever. And, I don't want to mess it up, right? I still consider the bike new, even though it's 4 years old, just because that's how my brain works. So I don't want to mess up my new stuff, right? But I did. I ended up not messing the bag up, so luckily. But I got it out. That I used finesse to get it out, not just force because that would have been terrible. And then I got a screw out of a little pre-X bin I have, and it was the right thread but too long. I cut it down and I put it together, and it's working fine. When it bottomed out, the right thing to do, I should have just taken that thing off, cut it, put it back in. Not even a big deal, right? Maybe, I don't know, an eighth of an inch off the thing, quarter inch, whatever would have worked. But I didn't do that. More importantly, I didn't leave time for a mistake. And that's where I want to talk about here. Because I'm on a timeline, right? I had a lot of stuff going on, guys. I may overcommit myself at times between, work, family time, being down here in the shop, hanging out with friends, the club, all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of moving parts. And when you do that, I don't have a lot of room for error. So we all know I do make errors. So when I do make an error, now something's got to give. Right now I'm behind on a schedule for stuff down here in the shop. Not so much for work. I mean, that's kind of like, that's got to happen, right? And unfortunately, I usually shortchange myself, or more importantly, Megan and Andrew they're waiting on me, or they got to go do something without me, or I just really screwed the pooch and we don't get to do what we want to do. So I need to quit doing that, right? And I realize that. So they say, when you identify a problem, that's the first step. So, hey, guys, we're halfway there, right? I need a budget that time. So what I did on the bike, I was going down to Virginia Beach to a reunion for one of the squadrons I was in, and waiting on a buddy of mine who was supposed to ride with me, but stood me up. Anyway, when I said I'll go down there, I'll change this out, take a couple minutes, an hour and a half later, right? Not only that, I made the bike kind of immobile because the bag wouldn't latch. So I screwed myself there. And what happened was the reunion I planned on being at by like 6:30, I got there at 8:30, because it was down in Virginia Beach and it was a whole thing. But if I didn't budget that time. You got to think, and I said it in a short that I made on the bag, every 5-minute project is one strip bolt away from taking an hour and a half. That's just the absolute truth. You see memes on it and jokes and stuff. Guys, it ain't funny. It's true. It's just true. I did the same thing on the Jeep, right? I was going to mess with the power steering. I had to take the box out for the air filter. I've had it out a million times. I haven't had it probably about a year or two. It was the last time I had it out, about a year. So when I went to pull it out, in that time, it's an 89, man. Things corrode. And the one screw was, it was welded in there by rust. It wasn't coming out right. So I ended up having to cut everything apart and get it out. And I got it out, guys. And this one I used a little bit of brute force. I'm not going to lie, because this is how it came out. Just at the head of and I broke a tool in the meantime, and ended up with parts of a tool kind of in my arm, little fibers. It was not a great day at Pugliese Speed Shop, I'll tell you what. But we did get it done, and because I didn't make room for that. I didn't what's the word? Budget for that time. I screwed myself. And honestly, I screwed you guys, and I apologize, because I gave you a crap video, and that's all there was to it. And then, as luck would have it, I got some good friends. I saw Kevin that weekend, and he made sure I knew it was a crap video, and I knew it. I knew it but I was like, I got to make this deadline here. So I was trying to make that deadline when I screwed up this one, and see, it just kind of goes all the way down. At the end of that one, guys, you might have been the victims, and I apologize for that. But I'm getting better. I'm trying to. We always got to keep improving, guys. That's just the way of life. You want to keep improving, right? So that's what we got. We identified the problem. I need to properly budget my time. Time management, whatever you want to call it. But I've said it before, and I'll probably continue to say it, realistic goals. And now, guys, you would think taking 2 screws off of a Harley and putting 2 screws back on with different latches is a realistic goal in 5 minutes. And it is. It absolutely is. Until you act like an idiot, drive something home, and have a problem. So I didn't budget for myself being an idiot. You think after all these years, I'd be well aware of that one. We'll get better in the future, guys. So I guess that's all we can hope for. Thanks for watching, guys.